échale. Welcome to Folklorista's Corner, the ultimate place where folkloristas can grow confidence, become better dancers, and where we talk everything folklorico. I'm your host, Carmen Flores, and today we're talking about grito. So let's start off by understanding what exactly is a grito. A grito is literally translated into English as to a yell, a shout, a scream. But in the folklorico world, a grito is actually just a type of stage presence. So it's the shout we do that's mostly used to bring life onto the performance, onto the stage, and it's also a very type of encouraging your dance mates and the audience to be more into the performance, and also just like encouraging your dance mates, like, oh yeah, like you're doing good. So, you know how to use a grito. What I teach my dancers is you should do a grito every time there's a type of, not necessarily pause in the music, but when the singer of a song is not singing. So all you hear is the instruments of the music going on. So say you have a singer and they're singing, right? And then there's just the instruments playing. That is the perfect time to do a grito. Why? Because you don't want to be doing gritos while the singer is singing, because it's just too much is going to be going on. It's going to be a distraction for your audience. They're going to be like, well, I don't really know what to focus on. Do I listen to the music? Do I watch the performance and listen to the footwork? Do I admire the skirt work? Like, it's just going to confuse them, and you don't want to do that. Adding on to the timing of doing a grito, a good rule of thumb would be, depending on the type of song that you're listening to or performing to, you want to take into consideration where the just instruments are playing. So that's a good place to do a grito. Another classic place to do a grito is at the end of the song. So once the song is completely finished, and you would do a grito then. Another moment, when the song is beginning and the singer isn't singing right away. So remember, you want to add to the show, you don't want to add distraction to the show. You want to take away any element from another person, right? So if you have a live singer, you don't want to take their moment away, just like you don't want them to take your moment away. So we got respect. How to do a grito. The best way is to straight up start listening to some mariachi and rancheras. Listen to the type of gritos that they do and just mimic that. That's all you want to do in the beginning when you're first starting out, is mimic the gritos that you're hearing, because you're not going to be very familiar. You're not going to feel very comfortable. It's going to be very awkward at first. So you just want to start getting into the habit and getting more comfortable with it. So the classic grito that everybody knows is the mariachi grito, and I think that's the best place to start. So I'm going to demonstrate one of my go-to gritos. Some other of my go-to gritos. I'm gonna go in random order. So we have eso. So you have that one first version. So some are gonna be singular, and the singular ones you can make them plural. So for eso, you could do not necessarily singular, my bad. For this one, you could add a name. So you have eso, and then you could add the person's name. You could add the person's nickname. So you could be, we'll use, right? So you could do eso, or you could do eso, Jason. Next one is my also all-time favorite is échale. Again, this one is where you can make it plural. So again, with the same concept of eso, with échale, you could do the person's name, the person's nickname. What I like doing is combining it with comadre or compadre or comadres and compadres. So then that's where we start getting the plurals. So you could be like eso. You could be like échale casi, or you could be échale comadre, échale compadres. So you could just keep doing that. Again, nicknames. Up next, we also have, I'm trying to remember the ones that I use all the time. Ajá. So that one's more for like Veracruz. I would tend to use that more for Veracruz. Or epa, also more commonly familiar with like Veracruz from what I've heard. Basic mariachi, the so you can extend it, you can cut it short. That's what I like about the I one. The next one up, I'm trying to remember. What I've seen more is like sometimes we're in Sinaloa, especially in Calabaciados, is hey. So you could go hey, 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 and you know, keep going with that one. Another one, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Another one more for like what I've heard from like Veracruz. I've heard this for like Colima. This one I'm not the strongest at. I think it's one of the most beautiful ones, but I need to work more on it. So it's basically a high pitch rolling R. So you can go. I'm gonna try it. And you keep going that. Songs, gritos that are used more towards like the end of a song from what I've heard is sí, señor, or viva, or viva Mexico, or viva whatever, insert whatever you want. You could do viva whatever your group's name. You could do viva whatever the mascot of your high school is. So there's a lot of options, variety. You could go with that. So now I want to talk a bit more of how to like incorporate this in practice and how to just overcome the fear of it. So when I first started doing gritos, I remember how awkward, and I wasn't that good. Like, it felt very uncomfortable. But in order to get over this fear and this awkwardness is that you have to practice it at practice. You have to do it all the time at practice. Why? If you don't practice what you do at practice, you're not gonna, if you don't practice what you want to achieve during your performance, you're not even gonna do that in your performance. Does that make sense? So when you're practicing, if you don't practice smiling at practice, you're gonna have a harder time smiling on stage when you're performing because you didn't really practice it. You didn't build that muscle memory. So you want to start building that muscle memory in practice. So how do you do this? First, just mimic. Start mimicking other people that do gritos. Just mimic exactly how they do it until you start developing your own style. Because first you can be able to do it and feel comfortable with it. And then once it becomes second nature, you start adding your own flair to it. So for my gritos, I always like to do them a little bit more high pitch and extended. Next thing that you want to do, how to incorporate it more with practice. Oh, so before I get to that point, what if in your group, not a lot of people do gritos in the first place? You just want to listen to music. Well, start off with mariachi and ranchera music. Pay close attention every time they do a grito and just mimic that. Any other song region that you hear some type of grito, especially specific to that region, you better do that grito. So then when you're performing that region, it's more, that grito is more for that region and it just adds more to it. Because you don't necessarily want to be doing a mariachi grito for Veracruz all the time, you know what I'm saying? So you want to do your research on that part. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you to a game I do with my dancers, and I call it Keep It Going. So I created this game 3 years ago to help encourage my dancers to be more comfortable doing gritos, so eventually when it comes to doing a performance, that it just becomes second nature to them. So, keep it going. What I do is first I introduce all the gritos to them, and I have them repeat each one after me. So I'll start off, for instance, by saying, eso, and then I'll have them repeat it. And I encourage them to repeat it with higher volume, so if they say it kind of low, I'm like, do it again a little bit higher. Then what I do after I teach them all the gritos, sometimes I'll write it down, sometimes I won't, and I'll be more consistent in that part. But I tell them, okay, we're gonna play a game, and it's gonna be called Keep It Going. So, one person, one grito, normally that'll be me, since I tend to have more shy dancers, and that's fine. So I'll start off with a random grito, so I could be like, échale, and then I go, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And then another person has to say a different grito after person A does it. So then person A says the grito, person B says the grito, and then you just keep that going. So be saying keep it going, keep it going, keep it going until I feel they've done a good enough job or they've gone long enough where I've heard like a good amount of gritos. It has to be different, and it's hard at first because everyone's really dead shy and it's awkward and feels uncomfortable, but slowly with time it does get better. You just have to be consistent with that and encourage them, of course. And throughout the process of me doing this with them, I've really seen some of them start developing their own style. Sometimes they do a grito that I didn't teach them and I don't like necessarily, but I'm like, you know what, if that's starting to make you feel more comfortable doing it, okay, I'll let that slide. But like, the whole purpose is so they feel comfortable and they start understanding when to do a grito. So normally I would do this when in between breaks, when they're changing into their practice skirts, when we're just listening to the song that we're working on and the instrumental part is just playing. So I'll start doing that so they know every time I do a grito and say keep it going, they automatically know what they have to do, and they've been doing that. So that is a game that I am sharing with you to practice with your teammates, with your students, and hopefully encourages gritos on your stage presence. That is it for today. If you liked what you learned today and you want more content like this, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Put it down in the comments, like this video, so I know that this is the type of content that you want. If you have any video suggestions or any other recommendations or tips on how to get your dancers or your teammates to do gritos, please let me know, because I'm working on this with my dancers. They are beginners. Besides that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, afternoon, whatever time you're watching this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.